Fans from inflated ticket prices, President Trump has signed an executive order targeting ticket scalpers and high fees associated with live events. The president joined by singer Kid Rock in the Oval Office for yesterday's signing. Now, this order aims to crack down on bots that buy and then resell tickets at outrageous prices.
Alina Habba gets her credit, too, because I know she worked very hard on this, but thank you for making this happen so quick. Anyone who's bought a concert ticket in the last decade, maybe 20 years, no matter what your politics are, knows that it's a conundrum. You buy a ticket for $100, by the time you check out, it's $170. You don't know what you can charge for, but more importantly, these bots, they come in to get all the good tickets to your favorite shows you want to go to, and then they're relisted immediately for sometimes a 400% or 500% markup.
Well, the FTC will work closely with the Department of Justice to enforce competition laws and ensure transparency through the ticket buying process. So I'd like to welcome in now Managing Director of Stratton Americas and former music exec Seth Schachner. Seth, great to see you. We just heard, some of what Kid Rock had to say there yesterday in the Oval Office next to the president. What is your reaction to President Trump trying to stop this ticket scalping and this inflation of prices?
Sure, Nicole. Great to be here. If it's not entirely clear yet what all the tactical actions will be between the FTC and the DOJ, but, I have to say, if even some of them are true, this could potentially be something that is probably the most helpful thing I've seen in terms of changing the game and making the situation with tickets a little bit better for consumers where they can actually see a difference. So I was actually quite encouraged by it. The real... there's a bunch of issues in the ticketing business, but one of the knottiest is what they call the resale market. I think everyone knows who the players are there and how they can kind of freely resell tickets without any caps on the prices. And there's a ton of other issues in there. There's things called speculative ticket sellers that can sell you a ticket to a show they don't even have. So this is an area that's been crying out for some regulation for some time, as well as the bots piece of it as well. So I've actually been pretty encouraged by it.
Yeah, speculative sellers, and they can sell something they don't even have. I didn't even know about that part of it.
Yeah.
So, Seth, we hear about this when it comes to big names like Taylor Swift. We know there was so much drama surrounding her and her concert a few years ago. But how pervasive is this problem?
It is pretty widely pervasive, and it's. I think the most extreme pieces of this are seen, when it's Beyonce, Taylor Swift, Springsteen, or Coldplay. Oasis is another good example, and there's lots of ripples around this beyond just what we're talking about here. Bots is probably the initial focus of what I heard yesterday from the Trump administration, and it's fantastic that they're going to do something about it, because we've actually had a federal law in the books for 9 years now called the Bots Act, which I think Senator Blackburn and others put in place, and no one's done anything about it. It's never been enforced, or it's been enforced once. And so I think, if you could do anything towards enforcing that act, whether it's at the state level or the federal level, that'll really help things a lot. Because what happens is, anyone knows this, even if you're lining up for the pre-sale, you're competing with these bots that go in. And for the biggest tours, like Taylor Swift, I want to say Live Nation had several billion bot requests for those tickets. So anything they can do there will be very helpful.
Yeah, because it is so frustrating to the fans who just want to see their favorite artists. So we heard from Kid Rock there. We know a lot of artists have spoken out about this. How does this impact the actual artists, in addition, obviously, to the fans who are being asked to pay these ridiculous prices?
So, the artist thing's a little bit of a double-edged piece of it, just to be candid with you. So the resale market, which I think is the area that, ticket resellers, that I think is primarily going to be targeted here, which I think they should find a way to regulate or organize, is one where typically the artist doesn't earn anything from. So, whatever the percentages that it's resold from, it's going to that ticket reseller, and there isn't much there. Now, if you're an artist, actually, you're typically setting the price for your tour with your management company. And it's a little bit of a dance because, you don't want to underprice your tickets. There are, whether or not we like it or not, there's someone out there who will pay a super high price for a ticket. So you kind of got to keep your eyes on the market in terms of how you price your tickets. But this is extremely important business for artists of all stripes because they don't make money from streaming anymore. They make such small money compared to what they used to. So there is, on their end, no one wants to undersell their tickets, and the artist. I don't think a lot of them come out and say it, but they do want Ticketmaster to be in business. They're sort of a punching bag to keep this business going and alive. So there's a little bit of a balancing act between all the interests in there.
All right, last question for you. I mean, do you think this will stop the problem? I know we're still waiting to hear the specifics, or, like so many other things. I mean, will resellers just maybe find a different way to do the same thing?
I think if there's a cocktail of interests that are put in place, including fighting the bots, and they can cap the resale prices, that's what the Live Nation CEO has been asking to do. And if they keep something out in place called all-in pricing, so they get rid of those fees, which is, I think both Trump and Biden agreed on that, it will start to improve the situation. It's probably not going to be perfect, but I do think that'll make a difference.
Yeah, any improvement will certainly make a difference. Seth Schachner, thank you. Appreciate it.
Here.